Are you tired of sitting on the sidelines watching opportunities pass you by? You know you have what it takes, but something's missing. It could be doubt, confidence, or fear that you're not representing your best self. Whatever it is, it stops now. It's time to align your passion with your purpose and seize the opportunities that await you. I want to see you get back in the game. So join me and my expert guests as we talk all things image, branding, and a bit of entrepreneurship. So if you're ready to gain insightful tips, tools, and strategies to help you amplify your presence and define your impact for greater success, sit with us as we talk about it. Welcome back to the Image Connection Show, where we go beyond the surface of image, branding, to help you live an impactful life and elevate your career. My name is Jenny Dewberry. I'm the host of the show. I'm also an internationally certified image consultant, brand strategist, speaker, and trainer. And today I have with me Jennifer Fidder. Jennifer is a social psychologist, speaker, and hypnotist. She's worked with many people to identify their mindset blocks, move through fear, and step boldly into their goals. Jennifer, welcome. So glad
Thank
to
you.
have you here with me.
Thank you for having me. I'm excited to be here.
I'm excited too to learn more of how we can, overcome certain barriers in the way that we think and mindset. And so we're going to dive in that. The mindset is so commonly used today. Everyone talks about mindset.
Yeah.
They talk about shifting mindset, but no one really tells us how. What I won't say, no one, but when you're seeing it out here on social media, it's become a buzzword, and
Mhm.
so the thought behind that is sometimes not expressed or not explained.
That's
So,
true.
yeah, what does mindset really mean? Being an expert in this area, can you talk a little bit about what that really means?
So, for me personally, when we're talking about mindset, it has a lot to do with beliefs
Hmm.
that are usually being built in our childhood from how we grew up, who we interacted with, who taught us. But it also has a lot to do with how I act in the world because your mindset, your beliefs, your thought patterns, everything that's going on here reflects in the outside world,
That's right.
right? Because if you don't believe you can do something, you're not going to put 100% effort in because what's the point? It's not going to happen anyway, right?
Hmm. Hmm.
So when we're talking about mindset, we always have to kind of remember that it's a very important part because it often hinders us in really getting to where we want to get in life
Right.
simply by our belief systems that we have.
Hmm. Yeah. And those belief systems, I talk about how, our growing up, as you said, when we're growing up, our parents or our caregivers, they pour all these things that's trying to help us to become a better person as we grow.
Yeah.
But sometimes we outgrow those beliefs or they're old beliefs that don't really serve us today in the way that the world is today. And so, again, what we tell ourselves about who we are, what we tell ourselves about our capabilities are what we become.
Yes.
Yeah, yeah.
Exactly.
So, what are some common mindset blocks that you can think of that many people go through?
So
These.
when I in my one-on-one work, when I do hypnosis-based coaching, I work a lot with entrepreneurs. And what I see there a lot is any type of fears, fear of failure, fear of visibility, fear of rejection, sometimes fear of success. So, and depending on the degree of that fear, it can be a push,
Hmm.
right? It can help
Yeah.
you to actually propel you forward, or it can paralyze you. And usually, by the time people get to me, they're at the stage where they're paralyzed or they keep overthinking things.
Yes.
They deal with imposter syndrome, with procrastination. And that's usually where I come in then.
Yeah, yeah. And I'm glad you said that procrastination is absolutely a killer of any dream, of
Yeah.
any
Yeah.
success. Because, sitting on the sidelines, we're wanting to leap, we're wanting to get into it or wanting to get into the game. But like you said, we're crippled because we
Mhm.
don't have the confidence and the belief that you can do this. You know what you're doing. I've even had to tell myself early on, you know what you're doing.
Why
Mhm.
aren't you getting out here? Why are you so afraid to be
Yeah.
visible? And it's most times, or a lot of times, in my experience, it's because we're afraid of judgment.
Yeah.
What people are going to have a different view of what I just said. People that are in this industry that I am in, what if they're what are they going to say about the things that I'm saying, the view that I have? But when I realize that my experiences are my experiences, and my view on the things that I've experienced, or my expertise in this industry are mine. We have the essence of what it is that I teach and coach on is what it is. But in doing it, I have developed my own way of doing things, and no one from an
Yeah.
outside source can tell me how to do it because it's mine. And so I believe in what I do because I know that I know that I know that I
Mm.
can. This is what I do. This is my expertise. But
Yeah.
it took a while for me to get over that block of,
Mm.
you know, am I knowledgeable enough? Is this message going to be accepted? And
Mm.
is someone else going to come in and impart their opinion about what I'm doing? But that's
Yeah.
all good and fine. People will. And
Yeah.
hey,
And I think that's a very important part that you mentioned there, especially now with social media and everybody is
mhm,
online. People will give their opinion if they're
yeah,
being asked or not. And that's just
very
what's going to
true.
happen. So we have to kind of accept that as a fact.
Hmm.
And another thing that you mentioned also, what I see a lot in my clients who are just starting out, that they have like kind of this fear, okay, am I actually good enough?
Yes,
I don't know yet what I'm talking about, not realizing that a everybody learns, everybody has to start somewhere. Like when I opened my first business, my first business was a personal fitness training business.
hmm,
I was not a good trainer. Okay. I just had my
yeah,
certificates. I just started out.
right.
Sometimes when I look back at the exercises that I put together, I was like, oh my goodness. But that's how you start. Like
That's how you
everybody
start.
starts like that, right?
Yeah, yeah.
And but on the other hand, also even when you're just starting out, you still know a lot more than your clients, because your clients are usually
Mhm.
way behind you. They don't even know the basics of whatever it is that you're teaching.
That's right.
So
That's
it's totally fine not to know everything. And I've been in business now with different businesses for almost 20 years, and I still don't know it all. I
you're
still have, whenever I branch out in like a different area, I'm like, I have no clue how this
mhm,
works.
that's right.
I
Because
just
as we grow,
found out that I had to. I'm so sorry. I just found out that I had to get like an approval from like a district that I wanted to work with as a
mhm,
speaker, that I didn't need before for
yes,
other districts, and I was like,
we're
okay,
constantly growing, and as we grow, we
yeah,
learn.
yeah,
Right?
exactly,
Yeah.
exactly.
Do you see blocks? Some of the common blocks. Do you see that those blocks are present in one's personal life, or more present in the professional life, or do you see some connections and
They definitely kind of spill over into other
mhm,
areas of your life, like especially when we're talking about fear of visibility.
mhm,
Right? If that's in my business, sometimes then people also are hesitant to network, or they're hesitant to go to parties, or they're just meeting new people. So it definitely spills over into other areas. It might be more prominent for some fears in like the business field, and that has nothing to do with your personal life. That happens, but in general, yes, it can definitely transfer to. Yeah.
yeah, and so it can be challenging to,
Yeah.
as we talked about, just shift and take a step. And when
Hmm.
we talk about mindset shifting,
Hmm.
I know what that means. I know how to do that. Over the years, I've learned how to do
Hmm.
that. But for someone, you know, we say mindset shift, and it lands flat for them.
Right.
Can you speak a little bit about what that is, and how one can, I know it's not an instantaneous thing, it's a practice,
Hmm.
something that we have to practice, but
So it actually it depends on kind of what it is, because
okay.
there's different techniques, and that there's different
Hmm.
techniques that you can use. What I love to use with my one-on-one clients whenever I can is hypnosis, because that is really like an instant shift. Like,
Okay.
because we usually always say, okay, mindset transformations take time, change takes time, But especially when we're talking about things like fears, anxieties, that can be a very quick thing to resolve. Because the way we think about it in hypnosis is your subconscious mind developed a pattern for a reason. And that reason is usually to protect you or to make things easier for you. Right? We develop certain behavioral patterns every time we wake up in the morning, we go to the bathroom, we brush our teeth. That is nothing we consciously think about. That's a subconscious pattern.
Yes.
And sometimes our subconscious mind wants to protect us from something. For example, fear of visibility. So it creates procrastination that you don't put your product out there or your service or whatever it is, not realizing that in the long run, it actually hinders you or it blocks you.
Yes, it does.
So when you then are able to kind of explain to the subconscious mind, hey, I understand what you're doing and I appreciate what you're doing, but maybe we can try a different strategy, then that can be a pretty quick shift. When I work with students, for example, I'm a youth speaker too. I sometimes go to schools and speak. I like to work with the mind-body connection, because we can really influence a lot of our emotions through the way we use and move our body. For example, if somebody doesn't feel confident, there are certain just body movements that you can use, certain postures that will raise your testosterone levels and give you immediate confidence, things like that. Yeah. So there's so many different approaches. And then obviously like your common ones like cognitive behavioral therapy, things like that as well.
Okay. So hypnosis, I'm glad you mentioned that. Hypnosis, growing up, it was a word that, or something that we didn't visit because there was a certain negative connotation around it.
Yeah.
Used to be. But
it's still like that in some areas, yeah.
Benefits of hypnotism and, or hypnosis rather, and why we shouldn't be afraid to approach it and perhaps use it for ourselves.
I think one of the biggest misconceptions when it comes to hypnosis is that people think the hypnotist goes inside your mind and does whatever they do in there, right? And you have no clue what's happening. But the reality is we're just facilitators. Okay. Our job is to get your mind to kind of shift perspective. And you are the one who's making the actual changes. We're just showing you how to do it.
Okay.
So, and once people understand that and realize that, a lot of that fear is gone. And another thing is I personally love working with non-trance-based hypnosis, meaning I don't put people to sleep. It's not the pendulum situation that you might have in mind. But my clients are fully awake. So it's basically almost a conversation like the one we're having now. Which also then eases a little bit the discomfort that some people have when they're thinking about hypnosis, because they're fully aware. They're right there. They're hearing everything I say. So there's nothing to be worried about in that regard.
And this helps them to be able to
access their subconscious mind, right?
Yeah, and yes, and as we said, not get off the sidelines.
Yeah, exactly.
You want to be seen. You want to be in business. You want to be successful. But if you're not able to overcome these hindrances or barriers, then maybe it might be something that you want to, I'm not promoting it one way or the other, but it might be something that a person might want to look into to help them to get beyond.
It's definitely an option. Like hypnosis helped me. And that's how I got into using it. It helped me a lot. And then I was like, oh, what if I use it with my clients? First with my fitness clients, and then later with my business clients. So it's definitely an amazing tool. I love it.
And so talking about that, what role does the brain and then the wiring, how you might go through wiring the brain, or maybe you don't go through it, but wiring the brain, what does that play? What part does it play when we're trying to change, when we're going through this journey of change? I know that, even working with clients as an image consultant, before I work with my clients, we go through this discovery process so that we can see, so that I can see rather, if there are any limited beliefs that they're, battling with, that's going to keep us from being able to work together successfully, and so that they can get the desired results that they've come to me for. And many times they don't even know that they're coming for a thing that we have discovered in that
Mm-hmm.
process of,
Gotcha.
you know, helping them to identify who they are and the barriers that might be holding them back. But that wiring, it's difficult for someone that's not a professional to really dive into that. So how do you think that plays into the change?
So when we're talking about wiring, right?
Mm-hmm.
Wiring, what we usually refer to is those patterns that our mind developed, right? What usually happens is up until the age of like 6 to 9, we're operating mostly on a subconscious level,
Okay.
meaning everything we hear, everything we see, everything we're being taught, we absorb like a sponge
Mm-hmm.
without really questioning it,
That's
without
true.
questioning if it's right or wrong, if it's good or bad. We're just absorbing that.
Mm-hmm.
And that's how we build our map of reality, if you will, an idea of how the world works, how people should be, how we should be, what is good, what is bad.
Mm-hmm.
And then when we want to rewire that, we're taking those old patterns that are not useful anymore, because that is usually the main problem, that our subconscious mind carries those patterns into adulthood, not realizing that the circumstances have changed. So what worked when we were a child doesn't necessarily work in adulthood. I always love to take the example of ice cream. For example, you were like 4 years old, 5 years old, you fell, you scraped your leg or your knee, and then your mom was like, it's not so bad, it's not so bad, let's get some ice cream, everything is fine.
Yes.
You learned ice cream solves my problems.
Yes.
Fast forward 30 years, you're $15,000 in debt with the IRS. Ice cream's not going to solve it.
Not going to
but
solve
you're still trying, right?
That's right. That's right.
That's the wiring we have.
Okay.
And that's basically, then we have to like kind of reconnect the dots, if you will, and just create a different wiring. And those are the mindset shifts that we were talking about.
That's good, because that was going to be one of my questions, is if someone is in the middle of making a change or on the journey of trying to change, what would be one piece of advice that you can give that person that they could, implement today if they're struggling or don't have that clarity?
Exactly. So if they're having a hard time changing, the first thing I always tell my clients is you have to be very aware of where you actually want to go. Because a lot of people know exactly what they don't want, but they're not very specific on what they do want. And the mentor of mine, Tim Box, who's amazing, he's a hypnotist in the UK, he always used to say, it's like, when you don't know that, it's like getting up from a chair, deciding you got to leave, and then standing in the middle of the room, not going anywhere, because where are you going to go? You haven't decided. Right? You have nowhere to go. So that's always the first step. Are you really 100% sure what the change should look like? Where are you headed? And if you're like, no, yes, I know exactly what I want. I know exactly where I have to go. I know exactly what I need to do, but I'm not doing it for whatever reason. Or I keep doing things that kind of keep me busy, so that I have the feeling I'm doing something, but I'm actually not getting anywhere, and I'm in this hamster wheel, right?
Yes.
Then we have to take a look at, take a step back and take a look at, what are my thought processes? Because we can tell a lot about our beliefs by the thoughts we think.
Yes.
And if we keep thinking things like, oh, this is never going to happen for me anyway, or why would people even listen to me?
Yeah.
This is never going to work out. Then you have the first thing, okay, this is what I have to work on, because that is what's blocking you.
Yeah. And our thoughts, they sabotage. They constantly sabotage. If we don't learn how to overcome those self-defeating thoughts, or thoughts of not being enough or capable, it just, again, it sabotages us. And so we're stuck and we're suffering because we're too afraid to move. Yet, we are so anxious to get over or get beyond the place that we currently are. And again, that is only, I'm not the expert here, but that is only fear to me. It's fear. False evidence appearing real. We cripple ourselves because we are afraid of something, and we haven't even done it yet. We haven't even attempted to do the thing yet, right? So, that fear.
And all those are really the strategies of your subconscious mind, right? The kind of like the barriers, the obstacles to change, and how it tries to keep you safe. Because if you don't put yourself out there, then technically you can't fail because you haven't tried. so you're safe,
Yeah.
right?
And being in business or trying to excel in a thing, you can't operate in safety. You can't. It's going to be uncomfortable. It's going to be scary. And sometimes, you could be defeated, but you have to have a system, or you have to have a way to, if this happens, this is how I'm going to get around it. This is how I'm going to get over it. And this is how I'm going to get through it. That's what I had to develop for myself. Just because it's a no or it's a perceived failure doesn't mean that it can't happen. We just have to figure out a different way to approach it. And our minds have to allow us to do that.
And that's another reason why I like to combine kind of the mindset work with actionable tools, because sometimes it just takes a little bit longer to get the mindset right. There's just so many patterns that need to be rewired that it will take a little bit. But if you then have some practical tools, and that's what I love to teach the students when I do my speeches in schools, have some practical tools that you can use when that fear creeps up, when that confidence is not the way it should be, when you have something important coming up and you have to be there 100%, even though you don't feel like it. So then you can use those tools while in the background you're still working on your mindset.
That's right. Sometimes I have to tell myself, Jenny, just get up. You have this to do. Get up, do it. And the more you do it, the more the fear subsides,
Exactly.
Because you're now comfortable in that space. And so overcoming the fear, you just talked about how we can do some of those things. And I know that when we're operating in fear, it keeps us small. It makes us shrink. And again, it makes us not take action. You and helping your clients help them to do all of these things. So how can someone, if they're thinking about, hiring a coach or needing someone to help them on their mindset shift journey, because many of us, we can't do it alone. How can they get in touch with you?
The easiest way is directly via my website. It's jenniferfidder.com. And from there, you have a contact form. You have the different services that I offer. Like I said, I do the one-on-one coaching, but I also do some workshops. I do speaking engagements. So whatever it is that you feel you need for yourself or for your team, for your group, that I can help with.
So it's going to be jenniferfidder.com.
Yes.
Your email is Jennifer
aliceonline@gmail.com. Or you can just use the info at Jennifer Fidder. That works too.
LinkedIn is Jennifer Fidder coaching. And Instagram is Jennifer Fidder coaching as well.
Yeah.
So this is how you can get in touch with Jennifer so that you can learn how to work on your mindset and show up boldly in the things that you want to do, show up confidently and know that, I can do this if I quit telling myself that I can't.
Yep.
Right? Yeah. And when we talk about, showing up boldly, what does that look like to you? What can you say about that?
I think for me, it's really doing the things that you said you would do. And I had so often in my own personal life, I moved to the US about 15 years ago from Germany. I came with 2 suitcases and a few $1,000s, and that was it. And I had so many people who were like, oh, she's going to be back in like 3 months. This is not going to work anyway. And at the beginning, no matter what journey you start, you don't necessarily have a lot of outside support.
That's
like
true.
Simply sometimes because people don't believe in what you want to do. Like back then, it was a crazy idea. I had my master's degree. I had a job in management. I was doing good. Why would I leave? Why would I start from scratch now that I just literally finished university and got my first good job, right?
Yeah.
So it was a crazy idea. So I did not have a lot of support. My parents said, okay, do whatever you feel you have to do. But it was not like this, we're rooting for you, right?
Yes.
So, and I think being able to take action anyway and being your own biggest cheerleader is the most important part. It's great when you have a support network, and I encourage everybody to go out, especially with social media, with the internet. There are groups out there where you will find like-minded people, whatever it is that you're working on. That can be your tribe, that can be your support group. So that's a great thing. But even if you do not have it, you have to develop the mindset to cheer for yourself, support yourself, and just say, no, this is really what I want to do, and I'll go for it. And I am aware that it's not going to be a smooth ride, because
Right.
it never is.
It never is. It has its
And
ebbs and flows, and
yep. And
yeah,
you always make plans that never work out. So
so
get
true.
used to it. Get
Welcome
used
to
to it.
entrepreneurship.
Yeah,
So yes,
exactly.
definitely, and in business as well. You spoke about you're moving. That's a huge and
Mhm.
bold step, and it could be frightening step.
Yeah, and
But
it was.
and for you, but someone else can think about that. They're not moving from a different country or moving from a different state, but they're just moving from that safe space. And like
Mhm.
you said, the first thing is to take the first step
Yeah.
and believe that you can, believe that you know how, and believe that you belong.
Mhm.
And with me, I always say image. Well, we as image consultants always say image is inside out. And it really is. Again,
Yes.
what we think of ourselves is going to help us to get into those rooms and spaces that we aspire to be in. But again, if
Mhm.
we're constantly telling ourselves we don't belong, we don't have the expertise, we don't know the knowledge. They invited me there, but I don't know why. Well, they invited you because they saw some value in you. They saw
Yeah.
you had something to offer to the people in the room. So
Yeah.
again, mindset is everything. I almost talked myself out of a huge opportunity because I felt like, years ago, I felt like I did not belong in that room.
Mhm.
I had to work standing outside of the venue. I had to walk around, Jenny, you got this, you got this. We have to give ourselves those pep talks
Yeah.
because I was walking into a space that I had never been before. Speaking to people, speaking to and conversing with people that I had never conversed with. And so for me, my perception of those people is that they were these lofty people, these affluent people. And I'm Jenny. I'm
Mhm.
beautiful, I'm wonderfully made and all of that. But do I really belong in this room? But once I got in that room, and the support that I received in that room and the connections that I received in that room, it gave me that confidence. And it
Mhm.
helped me, that moment helped me to really see the value that I bring to a
Yeah.
space, to a place, and to a person. And it all begins again with mindset. If I had talked myself out of that situation and walked back and got in my car, I probably wouldn't be sitting here today.
Yeah.
You know what I
And
mean? So
and I think also what opportunity that gives you is especially when you're somebody, let's say you're a new entrepreneur, a new business owner who's just like, getting their foot in the door and trying to figure out what to do and how to do it. Those opportunities
mhm,
help you to really find out what is it that I do want.
that's right.
Because sometimes, especially in the coaching field,
Hmm.
and I learned that for myself back then when I did the personal fitness training, it was the point where everybody offered online training.
Hmm.
Everybody was like, oh, you need to do online training because everybody does online training. I was okay, great. I'm going to do online training. And I did it. That was just horrible. I
Yeah.
hated it.
Hmm.
Right. But if you don't try it, then you will never find out. And the same thing with the speaking. When I got into speaking, it was like kind of by accident back then in Germany. I was like, I shouldn't really be in front of students. Like, I don't think that's a good idea.
Hmm.
But then I was thrown into it and it was so much fun. I would have never found that out and I would have never gone on the path that I'm on now if I didn't take that step and just said, you know what, just what can happen?
Yeah.
Worst thing that can happen is like a bunch of 14, 15-year-olds make fun of you. You'll get
That's
over it, right?
that's and you use that as a guide. You take that
Exactly.
information and you see where you need to tweak
Exactly.
and you move on. And each time you do it, the
Yeah,
confidence is built, that muscle is built. You
exactly.
start to think differently, and success looks differently to you. And you know that it doesn't have to be a mustard seed, so to speak, of thought and success. It can be huge. It can be massive. Your success is only as big as you see yourself, I believe,
Yes.
So yeah, we're going to take a quick break, Jennifer, and then we'll come back and continue on.
You're not You're not just building a career, you're building a reputation and that of your business. At People Power Consultancy, we coach ambitious professionals to refine their image and shape a personal brand that opens doors. Because the way you show up is your message. If you're tired of blending in, second-guessing your presence, or feeling unseen, this is your moment to stand out with purpose and polish. Visit peoplepowerconsultancy.com to start your transformation. Your next level has a look. Let's define it.
And we are back back with Jennifer Fidder. She's a social psychologist, and we're talking about mindset and the power of, well, how to master the mindset. Jennifer, we were just talking about, just getting out of the space of comfort, so to speak, and taking opportunities or looking for opportunities that's going to help us to build our confidence in who we are, so to speak, and how to step out boldly and take bold chances in order to build that positive self-image. So we gave some practical tips, but what strategies, or if someone is, again, trying to show up more boldly, more confident, trying to go through this mindset shift, how do we eliminate? I know that when we're walking into something, it's natural to think that, have that doubt, a little bit of doubt.
Right.
If we're in that moment, like I talked to you about being in that moment right there outside of the door that I had been invited into.
Yeah.
Told me if I had called you and said, Jennifer, I am crippled. I cannot bring myself to walk through that door. What would you have told me at that moment?
So in those moments where you're like literally right in front of a situation where you have to step up, where you have to do a presentation, where you have to go on stage, where you have to have a sales conversation, whatever it is, right? And you're right in front of there and you have this block in your face,
Yes.
right?
Literally.
Two things that I like to do is breathing exercises are amazing.
Yes.
And we can go through a lot, but if you just Google breathing exercises for anxiety or so, you will find a bunch that you can try. And one exercise that I love to teach my students when I do the speaking engagements is, it's called the Superman or Wonder Woman pose.
Yes.
And that is actually something, and you know it exactly, that is something that they did a lot of research on, simply by kind of doing this pose, which is you taking your fists and you're putting them in your sides, chest out, shoulders back, smile on your face. You can create this confident energy. You just hold that pose for 2 minutes and you will feel how your energy shifts.
Isn't that amazing?
It's awesome.
It's awesome.
And sometimes it's little things like that. And that was what I was talking about, that you just have to have a few tools in your toolbox that you can use for those immediate shifts.
Yeah.
That's not a long-term solution. So you still have to work on in the background and on your mindset and everything. But it helps when you really need that quick boost of confidence, when you need to get rid of the anxiety, when you need to do. And another thing for anxiety, and I keep telling that on podcasts and I never do it. I say I have to look it up. There was this thing that they asked two very famous musicians who were like on stage for over 20 years and they've been touring and recording and doing all the things. How do you feel when you go on stage?
Okay.
And one of them said, oh, it's just horrible. Like I get sweaty and I get shaky and my heart starts racing. And it's a horrible feeling every time I go. And then the other one was like, oh my God, it's amazing. Like my heart starts racing and I get all shaky and everything.
Yes.
Same physical reaction, different interpretation.
Yes.
Right. So if you interpret it as anxiety or as excitement, helps your mind to kind of shift.
That's good.
Because your mind will always interpret what's going on in your body. And if you tell your mind, hey, this is just excitement because this is something this is awesome and you're going to have such a great time, then your mind is like, okay, cool, let's do it.
Yes.
But if you tell it, oh my God, we're probably going to die, then that's exactly
you never die. You never die.
You never do. Exactly. You never do.
Yeah, that's good. That is great information. And I do know there is so much power in breathing.
Yes.
Just standing for a moment.
Yeah.
Breathing in, then take a, it really does release
push that belly out.
There you go. From the expert. But it really, really does work. And I had to learn to do that because, naturally I am an introvert. So for me to even be doing something like this is huge. It's huge, but it also helps me to get out of that space. It helps me to get out of that space, and not that I'm not ever nervous because I don't know what I'm talking about. I don't know, I know that I am an expert in the things that I say I'm an expert in, but being an introvert and not liking all eyes on me, this is a bold step for me. Starting this show is a truly bold step for me. And so every day, not every day, when I get up during the week and I have this show, I have to prepare. Even though I know what I'm going to be talking about, I know what you want to talk about, I still have to prepare so that I can work my way out of that silence that I love to be in.
And I think that's a totally legitimate method, especially when you're starting out with something new. When I started speaking, I had almost my whole speeches written out. Do not ever do that. But I had to kind of do it to be comfortable and know what I'm talking about.
Yes.
And now when I talk about something new, I might have some bullet points, but most of the time it's in there.
Yeah.
And then I just adjust to my audience and I see what the feedback I get and I kind of play with it. And it's just a matter of experience. And how do you get experience? By doing things and by failing at things.
Yeah. Failing, looking at why you failed or your perceived failures, because I don't believe anything is a failure. Not really. You can take something from any.
It's a learning experience.
It's a learning experience because you can take something away from that and apply it to the new way. You know what I mean? And
it is a failure if you don't do that. Well, if you keep repeating the same thing without learning anything.
I agree with that. You're absolutely right. And again, it's how you look at it. If you're not successful at one attempt and you just sit back and I'm never going to do this again. I was horrible at it. All that self-defeating talk is going to keep you from trying again. So again, you have to learn how to think, learn how to speak, and know that there is power not only in our thoughts but in our words. What we put out in the world is what we're going to get back.
And I think that's a very important point that you mentioned. A lot of people quit after the first try.
Yeah.
I've seen, like, one of my mentors once said, I don't know, I'm going to mess up the quote, but kind of people are afraid of small beginnings. Like when you're a new coach and you want to do a workshop and you have 4 people showing up and you're like, oh, this is not working. And then you never do it again.
Someone came. And then
exactly.
If no one came, you still had the practice of preparation. You took the time to research the topics or whatever it is. So you're learning. You're still learning in those moments. So it really is a win. It's like you said, it's how you look at things.
Yeah. And I can give you a very practical example, actually, because we talked off camera real quick that I had my first in-person workshop that I did in a long, long time, because I've been doing all my workshops virtually for the past, I think, 5 or 6 years. And now we settled back down in South Florida after traveling for 4 years. And I was like, I want to do an in-person workshop. I want to be like in a room with people and it's going to be amazing. What I did not take into account is that the weekend that I chose was the weekend before 4th of July.
Oh.
So a lot of people were on vacation. It were school holidays anyway.
Yeah.
So nobody was there. And I ended up with, like, I think we were 9 people or something.
Okay.
So it was still an amazing workshop. We had a great time. But that was a learning experience for me, because when I do the virtual workshops, I work with a colleague from Europe. So if sometimes when the dates are not good for Europe, it's good for the US and the other way around. So that was never an issue that we had to even think about. So I didn't. And now I know when I want to do in-person workshops.
That's right.
You know?
And again, not again, but if we're doing something like a workshop, something like an online presentation, and no one comes or one person comes, it's still your way to practice and speak to those people, or speak to that as if it's 100 people, 1,000 people. Whatever you're going to give to 1,000, give to one.
Yeah, and you can still change lives.
Yes. If that one person got something from you, they're going to go take it to someone else. They're going to tell someone else about it, and before you know it, it's just a snowball effect. Someone's going to come back and reach out to you for something, even if it's just a short consultation. You're getting out there, you're marketing yourself. And though this is not about marketing, but I know it's huge. You're marketing yourself, and you're kind of you're overcoming that fear of doing. So today we talked about that. We talked about overcoming fear. We talked about identifying those barriers or blocks that we deal with as not just women, but as individuals. We all go through it, whether we're a woman, a man, it doesn't matter. We're all human. So we have many of the same experiences, and how to move through life boldly. So thank you for, imparting your experience there, and just giving us the strategies and tools that that's going to help us in the list, myself too. I've learned something here too with the hypnosis, just making people aware that it is not a taboo.
Mhm.
It's not taboo. You
It's
can
not
do
woo-woo. There's
it.
science behind it.
Right. Yeah. So you can do that if you choose to do that, if you need a little help getting past
Mhm.
where you are. So you can reach out to Jennifer at www.jenniferfidder.com, or her email is Jennifer
Alice online.
online at gmail.com. Thank you, Jennifer. And then her LinkedIn is going to be Jennifer-Fidder-Coaching. And Instagram is going to be Jennifer Fidder Coaching. So I hope that the listeners really learned something here and was able to take something away that they can use in their lives and implement today. Practice what we say to ourselves. Be mindful of the things that we say to ourselves. And Jennifer, do you have a word?
Be kind to yourself, because everything is a process and your mind doesn't want to sink the ship. It
That's
tries
right.
to help you. So
Yeah.
instead of getting mad with yourself, be kind to
Mhm.
yourself, love yourself, and just embrace the process.
Great, yes. And again, my name is Jenny Dewberry. I am the host of the show. I'm an internationally certified image consultant. So if you want to learn a little bit more about what I do in the realm of personal styling, personal branding, and image consulting, you can reach me or connect with me at info@peoplepowerconsultancy.com. And then it's there on the ticker. My website is peoplepowerconsultancy.com, and you can connect with me on LinkedIn. I'm losing my train of thought. LinkedIn at Jenny Dewberry. And if you want to help keep this show going and donate to us, any amount is appreciated. You can cash at Image Inside Out and make a contribution to the show there. I also have a guide for anyone that is looking to take their image up a notch. It's called Why Image Matters and Why You Should Care. You can visit my website and download that at peoplepowerconsultancy.com /Why Image Matters. That is the direct link, www.mailchimp/peoplepowerconsultancy.com, Why Image Matters. So thanks for joining us today. And again, I hope that you all got some good insight and information that you can use through your journey as you grow and, embark on new beginnings. Change your mind, change your life. Is that right?
That is right.
All right.
Thank you so much for having me. I had a great time.
Thank you for having me as well. And everyone, have a great rest of your week.
Thanks for tuning in to the Image Connection Show. We truly appreciate you being here. We hope you'll join us again. And don't keep it to yourself. Invite a friend to tune in too. If you're ready for more insightful tips, tools, and strategies to help you enhance your image, brand, and help you on your entrepreneurial journey, this is where you want to be. Until next time, keep showing up with purpose, presence, and power. I'll see you next Wednesday at 10 a.m. Eastern Time. Take care.